Hi, what's up guys? This is the Econ 3410 video for homework 8.3.30. Are you likely to purchase the item promoted by a celebrity on a social media site? According to a survey, 27% of social media users have made such a purchase. Complete parts A through D below. In order to solve this problem, we need to use the confidence interval estimate for the proportion, which is p plus or minus z half of alpha multiplied by the square root of p multiplied by y minus p divided by n. P here is the sample proportion, which equals to x, which is number of items having the characteristic, divided by n, which is the sample size. In the inequality here, pi is the population proportion. Z half of alpha is a critical value from the standardized normal distribution, and n equals the sample size. For question part A, suppose that the survey had a sample size of n equals to 700. Construct a 95% confidence interval estimate for the population proportion of social media users that have purchased the item promoted by a celebrity on the social media site. The data that has been given in the sample size equals to, we have 700 here, and the confidence interval, which is 95%, and the sample proportion, which is 27%. We calculate the z-value first, which we use norm.s.inv in the parentheses y minus the confidence level divided by 2, which gives us 1.95. We next calculate the standard error of the proportion, which we use the square root in the parentheses sample proportion multiplied by y minus the sample proportion and divided by the sample size, which gives us 0.016. And next, we calculate the interval half width, which we use the z-value multiplied by standard error of the proportion, which gives us 0.0328. We can also use another built-in function in Excel and get exactly the same result, which is confidence.norm in the parentheses y minus the confidence level, comma, the square root of the sample proportion multiplied by y minus the sample proportion, comma, and the sample size. With all those calculations available, we can move on to the calculation of the lower limit and the upper limit of the confidence level. So for the lower limit, we use the sample proportion minus the interval half width, get 0.23. And for the upper limit, we use the sample proportion plus the interval half width, get 0.30. With 95% confidence interval level, the population proportion lies somewhere between 0.23 and 0.30. For part B, based on A, can you claim that more than a quarter of all social media users have purchased an item promoted by a celebrity on the social media site? For choice A, no, because the 95% confidence interval is not indicative of a guarantee. A 99.9% confidence interval would be needed to make such a claim. So please pay attention here. What it asks is more than a quarter of all social media users. So here, even with 99.9% confidence interval, there's still 0.1% that we're not sure about. So this choice A is not correct. For choice B, yes, with 95% confidence because the sample proportion is greater than a quarter and it falls within the limits of the confidence interval estimate. What has been stated here is the 95% confidence of the sample proportion. We do have a sample proportion that is 27%, but with the sample proportion alone, we cannot guarantee that more than a quarter of all social media users have purchased the item. So this choice B is not correct. For choice C, yes, with 95% confidence because all the values contained in the confidence interval are greater than 0.25. If we check the confidence interval that we get here, which is somewhere between 0.23 and 0.30. So we have a part that is less than 0.25. So this choice C is not correct. For choice D, no, because the confidence interval contains proportion values that are less than 0.25, which is the correct answer. For part C, repeat parts A and B, assuming that the survey had a sample size of n equals to 11,000. Construct a 95% confidence interval estimate for the population proportion of social media users that have purchased the item promoted by celebrity on the social media site. So the only thing we need to change is the sample size to change it from 700 to 11,000. What has been changed is the confidence interval in the very end, which becomes 0.26 to 0.27. So let's take a look at all those choices here. For choice A, no, because 95% confidence interval is not indicative of guarantee, and 99.9% confidence interval would be needed to make such a claim. This is not correct, and the reason has been given above. For choice B, yes, with 95% confidence because the sample proportion is greater than a quarter and it falls within the limits of the confidence interval estimate. This is also not correct, and the reason is the same as given above. For choice C, yes, with 95% confidence because all the values contained in the confidence interval are greater than 0.25. If we check the new interval here, it is between 0.26 and 0.27, and it does greater than 0.25, so this C is correct answer. So since C is correct, D is not correct. So for part D, discuss the effect of a sample size on confidence interval estimation. Choose the correct answer below. For choice A, a large sample size results in a narrow confidence interval holding everything else constant. So if we take a look at this inequality here, so the only change that has been made is n, which is in the denominator. If we have a larger denominator, so this interval will become less, which has been stated here. This choice A is correct answer. So for choice B, a larger sample size has no effect on the confidence interval holding everything else constant. Since we do have a change here, so choice B is not correct. For choice C, a larger sample size results in a wider confidence interval holding everything else constant, which is just the opposite to A, so C is not correct. For choice D, it is impossible to compare confidence interval estimate with different sample sizes because the sample size is part of formula for finding confidence interval estimate limits. This is not correct. And that is the end for this part. Thank you.